I always start with a graph because people tell you that if you want to come across as important and intelligent, you have to have a graph. So here's a graph. So now I've done it and we can move on. No, the point here is just to get an idea of how big these services are. I always do an intro slide. Apparently it's good. So obviously Facebook is absolutely insane. Like we just can't, it's still growing at rates that I can't believe. I thought it was going to stop once it hit the 1 billion mark, but no, it's still growing exceptionally fast. Instagram has overtaken Twitter, which was awkward for Twitter, but it's grown incredibly fast as well. And Twitter is struggling. Like it's been around 200, 250, 300 for a long time now, and they just can't quite get the growth. So they're in a little bit of trouble, and Vine, that's owned by Twitter, is also not doing as well. So it's very interesting to see that Instagram is starting to become more important than Twitter, although I'd say they're completely different things. And actually, before we get started, let's talk about this in general, in terms of how do they fit all together. So the way I see social media is Facebook is for your big, important announcements. Like any big, grand announcement will go on Facebook. Plus, if you're good at it, a couple of interesting, fun content, pictures, videos in between. Twitter is very much a place where you suck up to other people. It's like, you know, it's great. You've got loads of, and it's very much a conversation place. When you're doing a campaign, there are a million people that you work with. They all want some type of social media shout out. You can't say, thanks Spotify for the playlist, thanks NPR for the exclusive, thanks blog for like every 5 minutes on Facebook. You can't do that, it's gonna look bad. On Twitter, you can just do all of your thanking, just everything you need to get out there. It's very much based on, it's a very much a collaboration platform, so people would very much talk to each other, and you can reply to your fans there, and so that's way more about interacting with other fans or other companies or whatever it might be. And if you're funny and you're good with words, then Twitter's great. Then Instagram is way more about aesthetics and building some type of feel and look in this world around your artist or your company or campaign. And so they're quite different platforms, but they all tie in really nicely together. And then the very last important thing that I wanted to talk about, which is something that I will say, and you guys will all be like, oh yeah, we know that, Claire, like, why are you saying this? But then you will all actually be wrong, because you know it, but you don't actually act on it. 85% of all of the social media users are using mobile. And everyone tells you mobile's important, and then you're like, yes, I know mobile's important, but then you send me a website that doesn't work on my phone. Like every time. Everyone's like, yeah, I know. And then I ask them, what company do you work for? They'll tell me the company. I'll try to buy a ticket from you on your phone, and it will be the worst experience of my life, right? So can we just remember that everything needs to be mobile friendly? So every artist you work with has to have a mobile friendly website. Every company that you work with needs to have a mobile friendly website. All content needs to work on your phone. If it doesn't, you're doing something wrong. Please check it on your phone. Also, please remember that even though you have a fancy new iPhone 6 now, not everyone has a brand fancy new iPhone 6. So when you're doing things, you should really be thinking about, does it work on all types of phone? That's especially true for email, but to some extent for social media. You really need to be thinking about that across the board. Okay, that's the intro. Let's start getting into it. Let's start with Facebook. So, Facebook. This is the part where you do a little bit of talking. What do we think about Facebook? No?
We can't ignore it.
You can't ignore it? Very good point. Anyone else?
Flooded.
It's flooded, absolutely. So Facebook gets a lot of slack. They're like, oh, you're a big evil company. We have to pay. You got us all to like put of our likes and fans on there, and now we have to pay to get more fans and then pay to reach those fans, and it's a really broken system. Now, I kind of always laugh a little bit at that, because I think, yeah, guys, you can post and then like thousands or millions of people can see that. When in the history of the world has that been for free? Like, it's a company. Of course they make you pay to reach people. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist anymore. And then they'd be MySpace, and then we have to do this all over again. So yes, you have to pay to reach people. It's kind of how a business makes money, right? Like, yes, that does happen. And actually, if you do it right, it's really freaking cheap to reach people, right? Like, what did you do before social media? You were running around the streets like, ha, artist, love him. Like, no, okay, this is really important to remember that as much as people hate Facebook, it's actually very, very cheap to reach people, right? And sometimes free, if you're not really bad at content, which and overall in music we are. So there's this thing about social media in general across all platforms, and it's especially true for Facebook. If you suck at content, no one will see it, right? That's just the rule of social media. If you are really good at content, lots of people will see it for free or for very cheap. Now the problem with music is that we actually have a huge privilege that we are the type of content that people sign up to social media for, right? So as a user, you're all users of Facebook or of social media. We're very happy to like pages about artists and music that we like because people feel very strongly about how music talks about themselves and it's fun content and they want to find out about new music. It's very difficult to get people to like a toilet paper brand or a washing machine detergent and whatever it might be. Those companies are really good at making really good content out of a really crappy product because they know their product is not friendly to social media, and also they have a lot of money, which helps. But in music, we all are like, everyone loves us, we're music stars, everyone should love my band, everyone should know how amazing I am, so I'm just gonna take my album artwork and post it 7 million times, right? It's boring. Like, you can't just assume because people like your music or they like your artist, they're going to care about the same album artwork gone for every announcement. My album's coming out, here's the album artwork. Oh, it's the first single, here's the album artwork. Oh, the album is being reviewed, here's the album artwork. Oh, we have an exclusive, album artwork. Oh, the album is out, album artwork. Oh, the album is still out, album artwork. Like, stop, okay? This does not work. The number one rule about social media, especially on Facebook, is when someone's seen a picture already, they do not read the text. They just go, oh, seen that, seen that, seen that, still seeing that, saw that last week, seeing it this week, okay, good. So we need to stop being really lazy with content because the minute you invest in creating more content, the minute the stuff gets really cheap. So how does it work? So Facebook, yes, you have to pay to reach people, but how do you get the most out of reaching people for free? So typically, if a page has, let's say, 100 likes, this is actually not true for small, okay, let's just pretend 100 or 100,000 likes, that's better. 100,000 likes, on average when you post, like 5% of the page will see it for free, right? The reach is between 5 to 10%. Now, if you're not bad, especially if you're in music, you can get easily 20, 30, 50, I get 70 to 80% reach sometimes on posts, if you're doing the right thing. Now, the way they decide how many people will see it, so that means that if 100,000 likes I post, on average you're going to have 5,000 people see it. But it's very easy to get 50 to 70 to 80,000 people seeing it if you're doing it right. Now, the way it works is when you log on to Facebook as a user, Facebook could show you 1,500 posts more or less a day. That's how many posts, depending on how many friends you have and pages you like. That's the average that they could show you. But they tend to only show you 20%, like a really small amount, because they don't want you to run away. Just like you ran away from Twitter, right? So they really are like, we don't want to show you everything. You're going to get bogged down by kids' pictures and cats and get lost in it. And so we're just going to show you the best stuff for you. So they need to decide which is the best stuff for every user. And they have this really fancy algorithm called Facebook EdgeRank. Now, EdgeRank is kind of like Google has an algorithm to decide which search results to show you. Facebook has the same thing, but for the posts. And there are 3 big factors of EdgeRank. I mean, there's loads and loads of factors, but these are the 3 big ones that we know about. So the first one is Affinity. And this is the one that you probably have been very aware of. Affinity is the only time I'm going to use a really crappy buzzword called engagement, because that's what everyone likes to say. Now, engagement means that Facebook measures how much you like your friends, every single friend, and all the pages you like as to how much you engage with them. So there's no way that Facebook can know this is a good post, this is a bad post, this is a cool picture, this is a bad picture. They can't read that stuff. So all they rely on are the user's interactions with it. So every time you click on a post, you like or comment or share in that order of importance, then Facebook knows this is good stuff, we're going to keep showing it, right? So the more you play around with, the more you interact with a page or with a friend, they know you really like that, it's more likely that they'll show it to you more often. So here's how it works. Batman has a Facebook page, Robin likes Batman's Facebook page. Every time Batman posts on his page, Robin tends to like, comment, share. You know, he really likes this stuff, and therefore every time Batman posts, it's very highly likely that Robin will see it in his newsfeed, right? Opposite here, Bane is really just liking Batman's page for spying purposes, never likes the post, tells Facebook he doesn't want to see it because he gets jealous, the whole thing. Very highly likely that when Batman will post, Bane's not going to see it. Now, we all know this, right? We know this because we tend to see that our friends that we like stuff, it always keeps popping up, etc. But when we're posting as a page, we forget that, because the point is that when we post, we're like, oh, I want to reach everyone. Like, everyone who likes my page should see this. And we tend to create really bland content. But actually, the way it works is that you post, Facebook goes, okay, let's show it to your super fans, to the people who always like all of your stuff. If they like it, comment, share, they go, okay, this post is not so bad, let's show it to the medium super fans, and then the fans, and then the casual guys who never see you. So if you want to reach everyone, you don't go for average content that's going to appeal to the average user. You go for super fan content, because they're the guys who are going to see it, and they're the ones who you need to get through. So you really always need to think, what type of content will make my super fans really, really, really excited? And that's all that really matters. Like, in general, you should just care about a small amount of really excited people about you, rather than a really large amount of kind of okay-ish thing. Because those guys don't like advertising, and they don't like crappy posts. They just need the super fans to find them in the street and be like, this band's freaking amazing, you have to listen to it, right? Because they're the ones you want to excite. So always think about, how do I get through my super fans? And they'll push stuff out, either socially through an algorithm or verbally for you. Okay, so that's Affinity. The next one is edge weight. Now, edge weight is got to do with the type of content. So on Facebook, there's 4 types of content. Well, officially now there's 5. There's a photo, a plain text, and then, so just a normal status update. There's a video, and there's a link. And now there's actually live video, which is slightly on its own thing, but we'll talk about that later. So how does it work? Well, Facebook tends to give a certain amount of reach to a different type of, before people are taking photos of this, before you freak out and go, photos are bad, that's not true, right? We just suck at photos. It's a different thing. So the point is that before, this is a bit old now. It was the end of beginning of last year. But the point is that we were reliant on photos for a long time. We're like, okay, if you want reach, you put a pretty photo, everyone will see it. And then we're just like, oh, we'll put a photo and everyone will see it. And this is what happened with the album artwork scenario that I talked about. But then what happened was that actually people did really bad photo posts, so the reach got really low. But if you do a really good photo, if your artist does a backstage or a fun thing or whatever it might be, photos still get an incredible amount of reach. You just can't rely on the fact that it's a photo, therefore it will reach a lot of people, right? It's great content, and that's more important. And then, this is not from Facebook, by the way, this is just a study, and the study obviously shows that people are really bad at putting photos. The one thing that is definitely true is that if you upload video, Facebook will give you a lot of free reach, right? What happened was Facebook decided to fight YouTube. They realized that content was moving to video. They wanted some of the video advertising share of money. So what they did for a whole bunch of the end of 2004, when was the Ice Bucket Challenge, 2014? Yeah, about 2 years ago, they were like, okay, every time you post a video, we're going to give you like shitloads of free views. Sorry, I'm probably not supposed to swear. Just loads and loads and loads of impressions. And so that's what they did. Every time you uploaded a video, you'd get like 50, 70% of the total reach of your page. I remember the one time, the first video I ever uploaded on a band's page who had 40,000 likes, we reached like 60,000 people without paying a cent. It was crazy. Now, it's still true. It's not as true as it used to be because lots of people have started to do it. But yeah, it works really, really well. So one of the first people to do it was Beyonce. She started uploading video, and we interviewed her digital manager, and she was just saying that they never saw reach like that on Facebook. Now, it's really important that you do that you do start to upload video content to Facebook, and the way to do it is just to make sure that you are doing it correctly. So every time you upload a piece of content, you should think about what's the right thing for Facebook. So we're in a bit of a transitional period. I would still say that I wouldn't upload a full music video on Facebook. I would rather just upload a 30-second snippet, add a call to action that says watch more, put the link of YouTube, and then share that. Never share, don't even bother sharing a YouTube link on Facebook. Don't. The minute you put a YouTube link on Facebook, Facebook goes, competition, no one should see this, goodbye, and it kills it, I promise you, absolutely. So what you need to do is upload 30 seconds and put a watch more thing and a link. But we should be doing video content for everything. If you're going on tour, why are you putting okay, this is it's so frustrating. We used to do, we still do posters. Posters are these nice A2 things that you stick on walls. We've taken posters and gone, hey, who needs to change anything? Let's just take that massive poster that's supposed to work on A2 and stick it on social media this small in the wrong direction. Are you crazy? That does not work, right? So when you're doing things online to do with live, either actually use a horizontal picture, which I'll get to in a minute, or rework your poster, or just get the band to do a video going, hey guys, we're going on tour, these are the dates, and then a link, and then you make a little video, and then you add a book now, and then stick the ticket link at the end. So everything should be video content if you can. We need to make more video content in general. So that's video. And then what about links? So links are important because we have to share a lot of them in the music industry. And they're fine. I mean, they're not great, but fine. The important thing is that people used to tell you, if you want to get a lot of reach, just add a picture to do a link and then a picture, and you get loads of reach. That's completely the worst thing you can possibly do now. When you're doing links, the way to do it is to put the link in, let the preview load, and this is actually quite hard to explain without showing you, but once the preview has loaded, you can actually change the picture. You probably have noticed that now. It used to be not so clear, now it's more obvious. You can change the picture, you can change the text, you can change the description, and I tend to rewrite those descriptions and tags all the time because the website thing might not be the one you want, right? So if, I don't know, Pitchfork reviews it and gives you 9 out of 10, you might want to say, we got 9 out of 10 on Pitchfork as the catch line or whatever it might be, or if it's not the right, it just depends. You want to customize everything. So make sure the picture looks good and that it's landscape. It's not one of these short ones where you've got the 4 squares, because I think that looks kind of weird. And make sure that you change the text when needed. So you just upload the link, you let it load, you change what you want. You can delete the link afterwards, but just don't upload a photo. If you want to change the picture in the preview of the link. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you have questions, give me a shout. Then the next thing I feel strongly about, which is the dimensions thing. Things need to be landscape. It doesn't work if you do portrait stuff. So I don't want tour posters that are this way. It's freaking useless, right? No one can read that. It looks ugly. Just make it landscape or square at the very least. And this is the other thing, because I tell all of my artists, I need more video content. Can you make me a fun video to announce your album? Can you make me a fun video to announce your single? And then the bands are like, yeah, cool, we could totally do it. And then they get wasted, and then they film this way. And it's totally useless. A video this way is so bad. So just always, before you get your artists really excited about filming, just remind them they got to flip the camera so everything gets this way, right? It's different for Snapchat, but everything else in social media is definitely landscape, especially Twitter, which crops really short. So Twitter, really landscape. Facebook, minimum square. If not square, then landscape is better. The third factor is time decay. This one's the easiest one. as you probably have noticed more or less, the timeline goes in time, more or less. If something gets a lot of engagement, it will always pop back up. But when you're posting, you don't know which of your posts are going to do really well or not. And the average amount of time that a post stays in the timeline is 3 hours. After 3 hours, it's more or less dead. Again, if it has a lot of engagement, it will definitely be seen, but if not, you've got 3 hours. So find out when your fans are online. Obviously, you're like, I'm not going to post at 4 in the morning, but when you have a worldwide fan base, you might not know what the most popular 4 in the morning is. So always go into the settings, the insights section of your page, and you can see which days and what time people are online. Now, this is important, but I also think people underestimate, this is very true for advertising, and it's also true for organic posting. Don't underestimate people's moods. Like, I would do something very different on a Friday evening than on a Sunday night. Whenever I try to get people to do something that takes a lot of time, like enter a competition or buy something, I always think, I'm not going to give it to them on Friday at 7 p.m., right? People are partying, and they're not buying tickets, right? Like 6 p.m. on a Sunday, perfect mood, right? Always think about when you would be doing stuff. It doesn't just matter if they're online or not. They could be online, but they're just going, meh, waiting for their friends to come to the bar. Totally different state of mind than on a Monday or on a, you just think about it logically. Okay, now this is some new things that have come up. You can actually target the timeline. So when you're posting something, most people are like, I want everyone to see my post because I'm so important. But actually, that's not always the best thing. As I said, smaller amounts of people that are interested than larger amounts of non-interested people. So when you post, there are now 2 little things you can target at the bottom of every post. One looks like a little bullseye, and you get this targeting the timeline. And it actually is pretty smart. So there's 2 things you can do now. You can tell people when you're posting, I think this is really important for these type of fans. So for example, if you're doing, let's think about this. If you're doing a collaboration with skateboarding, I don't know. You did something with some skateboarding brand because you're doing a collaboration, or your music is getting choreographed in a ballet, which is what one of my artists are doing. You would target people who are interested in that. So you'd say ballet, this specific place, or skating, this specific brand, whatever it might be. And what will happen is that Facebook will show it to those people first, because they know they're the ones who are most interested. And if those people tend to interact with it, then they'll show it to the rest of your page. This is all within your page. It's not like free users on Facebook. But if you tell people, if you tell Facebook, this post is specifically interesting for these type of people, this works great if you're in a venue. So if you have a venue or you're a promotions company and you put on loads of different shows and you're putting on a rock show, then you just target people who like rock music so that they make sure that those guys see it first. And if they interact really well with it, then they'll show it to the rest. So it's really good for segmenting your audience if you have a big variety of things that you post about. It just literally tells Facebook where to go to first. Then, so this one, just to make it clear, is just, you don't restrict anything, you just tell them where to go first, and then if it works well, they'll reach the rest of your page. But you can also restrict so that it doesn't show to all of your page. So you probably all have done this before, but obviously you can say, this is only relevant for a city or for a country and a certain age time, or like, I don't know, if you want to say, hey there, ladies, you might want to show it to ladies. All of these things are pretty useful when you're doing things like a tour and you've got an artist and he's going on a 20-day tour, and every time he's like, hey Stockholm, hey this, and you don't want the whole page to see it, you just limit it so that it only goes to the right people. The cool thing about doing preferred audience, this is a pretty new tool, is that afterwards they show you how it did. So they'll tell you, oh, these guys did really like your post, and yes, you should target these people. So it gives you a lot of analytics off the back of you doing it, so it's quite a good little tool. So that's the one thing in the time. Oh, so this is important because this, only limits people in the timeline. So the timeline when you log on and you have your news feed. But if someone went to your page, they would still see all of the posts, right? So if someone went and you said only the UK and you looked at it in Sweden, you'd still see it. If you don't want anyone to see it at all, if you want to hide it from your page, then you have to do it with this little thing, the world. So that's the bullseye for the targeting that I just showed you. And the world one is where it completely restricts stuff. So if you're doing, I don't know, 2 posts, one in English, one in Swedish, and you don't want to have double posts all along your page, you might want to restrict it completely. So that's restricting the timeline and the page. It's important to note that the minute you say buy, no one is going to see your post, right? Facebook came out and said, if you're doing a salesy post, no one ain't gonna see it. And that's fine. And people freaked out, and I was like, why are you freaking out? If Facebook showed it to everyone, everybody would run away. That's a good thing, right? So you have to pay to reach people. And we're going to talk about how to do that in the second bit of the day. But just know that the minute you have a buy link, no one's going to see that post. So that's just how it is. So what's coming on Facebook? So this is quite an important one. There was this app called Mentions, which you can have if you have a verified page. You get this app called Mentions. Don't bother downloading it; it's pretty bad. But anyway, that was the first place where they launched live streaming. But now everyone can do live streaming. Live streaming is massive. It's the new video of Facebook. So in that sense, that before, when you uploaded a video and no one was doing it, you'd get loads of free reach because Facebook was very excited about the fact that you were helping it do it. Now, if you do live streaming, you get a whole bunch of free reach, loads of people see it because Facebook is trying to get into this, and so they reward you, right? Whenever you do what Facebook is trying to do next, they reward you with loads of free views. That's pretty much how it works. So live streaming, Facebook is really big on it now. They're trying to push people to use it more and more, pages and users and anybody. And they're really gunning for this. They think this is the next big thing. There's even a live map that you can go to and you can see where people are streaming all around the world and just find random amounts of videos. If you do live streaming, what will normally happen is that it will notify every single person who follows your page and tell them, Arctic Monkeys is live streaming now, and you can go and watch it. So you get a huge amount of people rushing in. It is really, really quite good. So if you want to do a little session recording, or if you want to do like a warm-up to a show or anything like that, it does work really well. Obviously, I still think live streaming is pretty cringy most of the time. I don't know. I know live streaming is a big thing. I still find it a bit like, ugh. But it does work really well. And for now, you just do it off your phone. Although I think it's possible to plug into a proper recorder on Facebook. They've made it kind of easy to do that as well. So you can definitely look into doing more and more of that. Really, really quite popular. Now they're even launching this new thing called video search. I think this is only in the US for now. But they're going to do an entire platform where you can look for videos, because as you know, at the moment, Facebook is a terrible search platform. So loads more into looking for content and being able to feature live videos really strongly. So future of Facebook, video and live video. They've also launched something called instant articles, which is very interesting, and it's going to be very important for advertising, which I'll show you later. Instant articles is this deal they have with publishers, such as National Geographic and The Guardian and BuzzFeed and a whole bunch of other people, where they go, okay, people suck at mobile. We're quite good at mobile, but most of you have terrible websites. So what you'll do is you'll just give us the content, and we will host the content for you. And then we will split 50-50 on the ad revenue. So for example, with this is a National Geographic article. Instead of having a link and clicking out to National Geographic and trying to see stuff on a tiny screen, you just stay within Facebook. They host the content. It looks beautiful. It's really, really amazing. You can like flip your phone. The videos are like perfect. You have full screen pictures. You can like kind of do 360 stuff. It's pretty awesome. And then they get all the data, and then they split the advertising revenue with you. This is going to start to become very interesting because they're starting to open it up to way more people. This is where Facebook is going, where they're going to take over the world, which is slightly scary, but also quite exciting. The thing is, they control the news feed. So they go, okay, you don't want to sign up for instant article, No one's going to see your post. Goodbye. So I don't know. I'm a little bit freaked out, but also quite excited about it. Let's see how it goes.
Excuse me, is instant articles,
Mm-hmm.
if you Google that, you will enter.
No, so the way it works is Instant Articles is just the name of the program that they have with National Geographic. So that post is an instant article because when you click on it, instead of going to Guardian, you go to Facebook and they host the content. So if you want to look for it, you want an example of it, if you Googled it, you'd find examples of Facebook showing you, yeah. Facebook owns it, yeah. So Facebook says, let's do a deal. We will host all your content. Give us your content. When you post it on your web, you can still have it on your website. So if people go to your website, it's fine. But if you click on it on a mobile phone, it will stay within Facebook. It won't go to the website. So, I mean, it's not stealing your content. You still have your content on your website, but they just make sure that it's seamless on mobile. Because people suck at mobile, like, really bad. And now reactions. So reactions have just rolled. Are they in Sweden? Do you guys have reactions? Yeah. So they're quite fun because it's a whole new level of interaction that you can have with your fans. And my insight, well, my inkling is going to be that they're going to start to show angry people, angry posts, and happy people, happy posts. And, you know, it's just going to be really interesting because when you do advertising now, you can see how many people are surprised, sad, whatever. It's just a whole bunch of different metrics. So we'll see what happens with that, but it is something to keep an eye on. That's Facebook. Any questions? Excuse me? Live streaming, because I think like, just like even more of your life being documented in such an intense way all the time. I really love Snapchat, which we're not covering today, but I think Snapchat was brilliant because your stories are like 10 seconds, and I think 10 seconds of video live for anything is cool. 30 minutes is bloody boring. And it's awkward, like you have this video shoved in your face. I think people need to get used to it. I just think there's so much freaking content, and now, you know, short snippets is great, but live streaming is this other thing of like, for 30 minutes, people are going to be staring at you at a camera. Like, artists also just need some chill time. Like, it's just very demanding in terms of content. I think you can do it well. I think most of the live streaming I've seen, like people being interviewed on live streaming, people are awkward with it. You know, you just need to get, I mean, if you have a great entertainer, then sure. But I just think it can be done wrong as well. And it's live, so slight problems there. Okay, Twitter. Oh, sorry. Pushed out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It stops. So in terms of the reach stops, it always sits on your page, but that's how Facebook decides. You know, when you've got 100 likes and you post, some of your posts will reach 50 people, some of them will reach 70 people, and you go, why? The main reason is probably, well, either because it's video content and Facebook likes video content, or because loads of people interact with it, so Facebook went, hey, this is a cool post, we should show it to more people. If no one is interacting with it, they're like, oh, this looks like a crappy post, let's not show it to anybody because people don't like it. They're just trying to make sure that the good content is surfaced and the bad content dies. It's a perfect business strategy, but we don't like it because we're bad at content. Yes, too many from... I tend not to like my own content, but you can definitely switch out and to yourself and like it. Sometimes I do it if I'm really desperate, but I tend to not. But I guess, yeah, I mean, you can like your own content. Just make sure you don't like it as the page and you like it as yourself. I guess it would still count as something, but probably not as strongly as if you were just a native user. Yeah. Preferred audiences, yeah. Yes, Absolutely. So people think because I'm limiting, less people will see it, but actually more people will see it because it goes to the right people first and they drive the engagement and then it goes through. So it's actually a really good idea to do it. I wouldn't overly do it because the thing is it has to be a certain size for it to actually work. So if you're only going to reach, if you're making it so small that it only reaches 70 people, Facebook will say no. But I think it's a really, really good idea. And anyway, all of this stuff should be played around with and tested. You know, there's no hard and fast rule, but I definitely think it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard one. Don't buy likes, guys. I do, sorry, this when I breathe, this is really loud. Oh no, okay, stop. So, yes, you should kill them. Normally you can see that they're from funky countries. That's what normally happens if you buy likes. Everyone's going to be in like Malaysia or something. I think you can, I have had this question before. I've never done it because I've never bought likes, but I think there is a way of getting rid of it. Probably like if you filter by, do you know the answer to this? Yeah, you can block people or something. I think you maybe filter by country and then block or something. I don't know the answer to that, sorry. Just avoid buying likes, Twitter followers on Instagram. It's a really bad idea. By the way, Facebook, oh, I forgot to say this. Facebook also like consistency. So when you're posting, you shouldn't post more than once a day. If you're posting more than once a day, it's too much. Think about it. You have to make it into someone's timeline. You're not important enough to make it in there twice. You're just not, right? It's just too much. So just post once a day. If you absolutely have to post twice a day, try to make them far apart. Because Facebook is deciding which post to make it in someone's timeline. So whichever one does better is the one that's going to go in, and the other one's just going to stay out. So you're competing against yourself, practically. So try to only post once, and try to post regularly. So if you're going to post like every day, and then you're going to post once a week, and then you're going to post 7 times a day, and then like Facebook hates that. So be consistent. Make it. This is really boring, but content calendars are really freaking important. And just try to stick to how much you're going to post. So if you're going to post, if you haven't posted for 3 months, and then you're going to start posting again, ramp it up. Go 3 times a week, 5 times a week, 7 times a week. You know, and just keep it consistent. It's really important that you do that. Facebook gives you a number in terms of how good or bad you are. And so if you start to do crappy posting, it's going to hurt your good post to follow. So try to stay. In overall, you always have an internal ranking that you don't know about. So don't mess it up. You're always affecting yourself. So it's really important. So what I tend to do is before a campaign is about to launch, I start to ramp up before I want to reach people. You build it up and then you start to get loads of reach with really good content. And then by the time I'm in album, I'm getting 50, 70% of free organic reach when I really need it, which is when the album is out. So it's really important to kind of plan that in. Yes. This is all free for now. Advertising is the next section. I will cover it. No, very good question. So if you're hitting different people, that's fine. The point is they're not going to be competing for each other's timeline because person only lives in one place, unless you're really crazy. Anyway, I'm going to run out of time. We're definitely going to be late, so I'm going to keep going. Twitter, let's go. So what's the difference between Facebook and Twitter? They're starting to look more and more the same. They steal a lot of each other's tricks. There is the big difference that I talked about at the beginning, which is Facebook is very much big official statements. No one talks on Facebook. Like people, if they try to post on your page, it goes in this tiny little place that no one sees. And most people don't really reply to comments, although sometimes they do. On Twitter, it's incredibly bad if you don't reply to any of your fans ever. You should really be interacting with them. And if you interact with them, it's actually a really great place because on Twitter, everyone is equal. Have you noticed that? On Facebook, there's a user and there's a page. On Twitter, it's just a one type of user. So as an artist, I speak to my fans in the same way that I speak to my sister, that I speak to my friends, that I speak to a brand. Everyone has the same account. That means that all the playing fields are equal, which means all conversation is equal, which means that there's a lot more interaction and people get a lot more excited about people chatting on Twitter. And when Kanye West fights with the whole world, he does it on Twitter, right? Not on Facebook or Instagram, because that's where people talk. That's where it all kind of comes out. So whenever you're having interactions, it should really be on Twitter. The other reason it's important to have a Twitter account, even if you're not going to use it extensively, is every single time you get any PR or any deal or anything like that, people will tag you in posts, and that's just free advertising. If you are not on Twitter, they're just going to put your name down, and ain't nobody going to Google you, right? They just want to be able to click. That's it. So it's really worth it because so much of the interaction and conversation happens on Twitter. So Twitter is an interesting place. And there's some really simple rules. Okay, because we're out of time, I'm going to do this one really quickly. I normally do a whole story about my cats and my mom and stuff, but I'm just going to make it really quick. So the point about Twitter is when you tweet, if you put the @ at the beginning of the tweet, no one sees it apart from the person who follows you and the person you put at the front. So if you're tweeting @Pitchfork just reviewed my album, people have to follow you and Pitchfork to see it. So don't do that. Just say, I got 9 out of 10 at Pitchfork there, or so excited Pitchfork reviewed my album, or whatever it might be. Just don't put the at the beginning of the tweet. If you definitely need to put the at the beginning of the tweet, just put a dot. So @ Pitchfork, blah, blah, blah. But I don't actually think the dots are cool. I think they're quite lame because it looks like, it just doesn't look, just think about the logic of if a conversation starts with somebody else at the start, it looks less appealing, right? Because it looks like it's meant for somebody else. So pretty much try to just put the username in the middle of the tweet. If you're starting to reply to more than one person, the person needs to be following both you and the first person. The third, fourth, and fifth people don't matter. So they just need to be following both you and the first person you mention. Sorry, I'm just racing through it because I'm so aware of the fact that we're going to run out of time. Then there's tweets, retweets, and quote tweets. So obviously when you tweet, people who follow you will see it. And then if you retweet someone, people will see it who follow. So if someone gets a retweet, it's just like a clean retweet. So for example, that's just a retweet. So Wiped Out tweeted, Columbia Records retweeted them, and I see it because I follow Columbia, but I don't follow Wiped Out. Then there's also quote retweet, which is when you want to put a little bit of text in front of someone's tweet, which is pretty good if you're trying to make it a bit more about yourself and not just purely trying to advertise somebody else's account. So you just put in some text, and it's really great to kind of get more. So you're commenting on stuff, and it's looking more like it's your account than somebody else's. So that's the technical bit. Sorry, I raced through that, but let's talk about content that works. So Twitter is a funny place. It's mainly about being funny and being on the ball. So the one thing that Twitter has, it struggles a lot, but Twitter always says, if anything is happening in the world, we get it first. And it's true, right? It's really about instantaneous. If I'm looking for stage times or whatever it might be, I'll look on Twitter because that gets updated. If anything in the world happens, I'd look on Twitter. If something is trending, it will trend first on Twitter. So it's really about kind of keeping up to date with live events, and they're really good at that. If you're trying to get more onto the Twitter thing, you should really be joining it around big events. So whenever something big happens, like the Super Bowl, things will go crazy on Twitter. This was I don't know if you guys remember this was the Katy Perry left shark thing. The minute that happened, it was just, the memes were just rolling out on Twitter. So anytime anything happens that's funny or that's a live event, people will go crazy on Twitter. And then if you're live tweeting important events like the Brits or the Grammys or Eurovision or whatever it might be, you can get a lot of new reach and new followers by just being on the ball and commenting about things that are happening. So this was during Eurovision, and just a random guy who didn't have any followers just found out who was a French guitarist, and that picture got him, 5,000 likes, 5,000 retweets. At one point I don't remember, over 2,000 retweets just from talking about Trump at the right time. And just because I tweeted like quite early and used the hashtag when he had said something really stupid, it just picked up a lot of stuff. Oh, it was during his Twitter Q&A. Don't do Twitter Q&As if you're a bad person. It just, like, obviously all of the ones that get a lot of heat would be the ones that are, insulting the person. And so, you can get loads and loads and loads of new reach and loads of retweets and likes from just being on the ball. I should find that tweet. So hashtags. So hashtags are important. So hashtags exist on all platforms. They started on Twitter, but the way it worked was people thought it was really uncool to use hashtags everywhere. It's fine now. Facebook, I mean, you can use hashtags, but... And then Twitter, you definitely should use hashtags, and on Instagram, to some extent, you can. But hashtags on Twitter are different to anywhere else. I don't think we have time for the video, so I'm going to skip that. But the point about hashtags is there's 3 ways you can do hashtags on Twitter. The main way is when you have a big account and you're trying to create buzz around a brand new hashtag. So for example, if you've got an album coming out, it's totally fine for you to create a hashtag for your album if you are a big enough account. So don't do it when you've got like 5,000 followers, right? You probably need to have more than that. Because it's great that then it's very easy for you to find everyone that's talking about your album, and in that way, by the way, you can also advertise to people using your hashtag, because all those people are your super fans because they're talking about your album, and it's a really great way to find conversation about your album and also advertise to those people. So that's great, but you need to have a really big account. Or if you don't want to create your hashtag from scratch, you can start to use popular hashtags around Twitter. So this whole sorry, I'm not sorry, or when the ice bucket challenge happens, or if the Brits is happening, whatever it might be, anything that's trending, you want to use the hashtag that is being used at the moment to talk about it. So same thing with the Trump question example. Obviously, I use the hashtag for the Q&A so that loads and loads of people would see my tweet. Then there's this thing that is only existing on Twitter, which is what the funny video was about. But the point is that people use it just to be part of a conversation. So people will say they'll put a picture of them in a pool when it's sunny and go Sunday fun day, or hashtags that, it just is about anything, or it could just be about ending your conversation, I went to the Louvre, hashtag why is Mona Lisa staring at me? And you'd make that entire thing be a hashtag, and it's just about, that's just how Twitter works. I don't know why it's funny, but it is. Those are the 3 ways to use hashtags. Then the Q&A, I mentioned quite recently, I was talking about Q&As. They are great, by the way. I did one recently with a band called Bears Den, and we did see it spike right through the roof. We did it just before we were trying to get playlisted for radio, which was really good, because then we got everyone, all the numbers up and a lot of mentions just before we went to the playlist meeting, which was perfect timing to be look how buzzy they are. There are really great ways of doing Twitter Q&As without it being, nah. For example, Nick Cave did a very famous Twitter Q&A where he replied to people still being very much Nick Cave. So here's one. Someone asked him, what would you recommend for young musicians who want to carry out their dream to be a great musician like you? And Nick Cave wrote, lower your expectations. So it was fine. You don't have to be everything's great. Again, if your artist is in any way trouble, if he's been in court recently, I would avoid this at all costs. But if he's just a nice or not nice guy, but nothing drastic has happened recently, you're fine. If you are a verified account, you can actually now get a Twitter Q&A, almost like a dashboard, which makes it a lot easier. So just contact Twitter and ask for it, or go in and speak to your rep or whoever you might be. But if you have a verified account, you can do it live streaming. You can have it all pop up for you. It's way easier than trying to have an intern on hunting down hashtags. Content technicalities about Twitter. Twitter, you've got 20 minutes and then you're out, right? So Facebook, 3 hours, Twitter, 20 minutes, the tweet's gone. No one's seen it. That means you can tweet as many times as you like, as long as you're not annoying. It's perfectly fine to have the same tweet go out in the morning and the evening. I tend to try to change it up a little bit, even if it's just changing those sentences up. but the probabilities that the same person is going to see the tweet twice is very highly unlikely. So feel free to kind of up the ante in terms of volume. That's perfectly fine. Then make sure you definitely use images. As I said, images get cropped intensely landscape. So again, love it when people put tour pictures on there and then you see like nada, nothing. So you want to make sure you have really horizontal, slim pictures on Twitter because people don't click to see your photo unless they really love you. So definitely worth it because you get a lot more interaction when you use photos and also videos. So you can do native upload of videos as well on Twitter. So if I'm doing one for Facebook, I might as well just upload it on Twitter, right? You've got it anyway. The only thing is it has to be 20 seconds, so you normally have to cut it down a little bit, but the app lets you trim it for you, so it's pretty easy. Again, this can be any video. If I'm doing a music video, I do a little teaser on Twitter with the link to the video. Same thing for any other type of announcement. Oh, you can tag people in photos. I mean, I think that's a little, but it does get you a lot of reach. So if you're doing a thing with another artist or someone is promoting you or whatever, it doesn't hurt to tag them in photos, especially if you're running of characters in the description. It's quite good to tag them in the photo instead. Twitter cards I'm going to talk about in advertising, so let's skip them for now. Audio cards are the thing that if you use an iTunes link or a SoundCloud link, haha, SoundCloud dying, yeah. Anyway, that's another discussion. Well, if you use them, then they have these nice little cards, and you can play them within Twitter, which is quite nice. So you don't have to leave Twitter to be able. Although I don't actually know what will happen now because nothing works on SoundCloud, but potentially it could work really well. Okay. So new features. You can now do group messaging, which is quite nice. Group messaging is when you have more than one person in a direct messages. So you know on Twitter, everything you do is public, and then if you want to directly message someone, they have to follow you. So, by the way, the CEO got confused and did a private tweet publicly. It was great. So if you want to do that, it's really great for all of your super fans. So you know the guys that tweeted you like crazy all day, every day, who say, please notice me, I love you. Those guys should be in a group, because they are super fans, and we love super fans. We love the crazies. They're the best. So stick them in a group message, and whenever you're doing something, tell them first. They will freak out and tell 100 people on the street for you. It's really perfect, right? And they'll probably screen grab this secret group and show it to all of their friends. Amazing. You're trying to get the excited people more excited. They do your job so much better than you do, right? So it's a really easy way. You just go in, okay, who's the guy who tweets at me left, right, and center? And you call it super fan group. I mean, the guys will literally cry. So make sure you do that. It's a really nice way of getting that out there, especially now that in the DMs you don't have a character limit, so you can chat all you want. Now, Twitter's in this weird place where they're like, should we filter, shouldn't we filter? So they're kind of half filtering, half not filtering. By filtering, I mean the algorithm, right? On Twitter, you see everyone tweets. There's no filtering. But now they're starting to show you popular tweets first and things like that. It's a little awkward because they're like half filtering, half not filtering. The point here is if your tweets are really funny, they will start to pop up in someone's in someone's timeline, which is great if you're good at Twitter, and it sucks if you're bad. So get better at Twitter, I guess. That's the key outtake of that. Then there's moments. I don't know if you guys have moments here. Is there moments rolled out on Twitter? I think there probably is. It might not be global yet. This is a bit like the trending section of Facebook, and it's just popping out really good moments of Twitter. If you have a really big artist and you want to do a campaign with Twitter, you can get into the moment sections as well, but it's for larger style artists. Then there's GIF search. Now, you guys might think like, why is she talking to us? There's nothing like a good GIF, guys. I mean, GIFs are literally free, fun content that we underuse. Like, GIFs are amazing. You'll get loads of more retweets if you use a GIF than if you just say something. So the point here is, it's just free content. So whenever you're doing something about something that has got like any type of emotion, like you're excited or you're sad or you're looking forward to something, just GIF search that and stick it on your tweet, and you're going to get way more interactions, and then you can thank me later. And And then Twitter camera is coming. This is not yet happening for everyone, but for super accounts, this stuff is coming where it's going to look like Snapchat, but on Twitter. The last one I wanted to talk about is Twitter polls. Twitter polls is really quite fun. So every time you do a tweet, you can now just add like a poll, so people have different options, and then they vote. Those tend to be really great as well. So, you know, even if you wanted to do something like, should we release the single like on Monday or Tuesday? Everyone's going to say Monday because everyone wants it first. But you could do things where your fans get like have a say on how you deliver things or how you cut stuff up, or do you like this take or this? Like you give them a a sneak peek and you say, do you like A or B or whatever it might be. It's a really nice way of getting your fans engaged. Okay, that's Twitter. I'm not going to take questions right now because I got to rush through Instagram in like 2 minutes, and then we'll take questions at the end. Okay, so Instagram luckily is quite short. There's not much to Instagram in terms of tips and tricks. There's a couple of things you can do with Instagram. Either you can decide to kind of be use your Instagram to be kind of a behind the scenes, everyday, interesting type of platform, which, there's loads of people who are doing that. You can just kind of get snaps of people's lives that you wouldn't necessarily get anywhere else. Oh man, this is so annoying. This Taylor Swift, obviously every time she's hanging out with all of her super celeb posse, she's always, just doing like hanging out with friends. They just all happen to be supermodels. Hard life. Anyway, or you can do like a lifestyle kind of branding, kind of create your own world around the artist. So it's way more stylized, and you say, we're only going to do black and white pictures, we're only going to do this, we're always going to use this filter, it's going to have this vibe. You just need to have that discussion with your artist and kind of decide which one you want to go for, and then try to stick to it, because consistency is good across everything, but also very much across Instagram. So there's a lot of, just decide kind of the thing. And not everything that you post on Facebook and Twitter needs to be on Instagram, and not everything that you post on Instagram has to be across the others. Sometimes they can be totally separate worlds, and I think that works well. I tend to have, on Instagram, you can post every day for sure, maybe two pictures max, 2, 3 if you're having a really great day, but try not to annoy people. There has been some type of filtering now on Instagram as well, so that kind of helps. But yeah, try to make sure that you only post maybe your best photo of the week on Facebook, or the best 2, so that it feels like Instagram doesn't just get all the other content that everybody else does. You can do fun things like do a 9x9 picture. Prince had a really great Instagram account. It's very sad that he's gone, mainly because of his Instagram account, but also because of his music. So there's loads of stuff you can do with that. We did an entire album. When we announced the album artwork, we did a 9x9, which was quite nice. And then it's really about, like, Instagram. This is obviously a non-music example, but Instagram is amazing because what small businesses have found is that they can grow their accounts insanely just by making it much more than about their product, but really going for lifestyle. So this is a brand called Heist. They just like a brand new stockings brand, and they actually like blew up. Oh, I mean, blew up. They're still very small, but they did very, very well on Instagram because they talked about it being they were just celebrating the female form. So it wasn't like buy stockings, out stockings. It's like female form is amazing. We should celebrate it, and everything was way more about a meaning, a lifestyle, like a statement, than it was about here's some products. And that's what works on Instagram. So you'll find like there's a huge thing about being healthy and like, I don't know, green juicing and stuff like that. Anyway, the whole point about Instagram is it's very lifestyle orientated. In terms of tricks, always tag people both in the picture but also in the description. So when you're doing any announcement, you just double tag. So description tagging and photo tagging, because people tend to click on the description bit, but they will also sometimes click on the picture and click out from that. So make sure that you double tag. You can actually do a bit of a treasure hunt by getting people to double tab the picture and find the accounts and just go from account to account. There are a couple of cool campaigns that have done that. So that you'll say like double tap follow the tag, and then people will have created all these accounts, and every time you just tap the photo, find the account, go somewhere else, tap the photo, find the account, go somewhere else. It's quite a fun thing to do on Instagram. A lot of people are starting to tease their music or tease their albums out first on Instagram. So Radiohead obviously just did that last week. All of the stuff was coming to Instagram first. It was being shared on Facebook, but it was being shared from within Instagram. And Coldplay also did 30 seconds, 15-second snippets of their albums first on Instagram. So you're finding a lot of people who are doing Instagram-led campaigns, which is very interesting. Don't forget that you can place search stuff. So if you're a promoter or if you're playing in lots of different venues with your artists, what I tend to do is, so we put on a lot of shows, so I always get my pro intern to search for the hashtag of the artist and then also search for the venue. And then you can find all the content that was captured at the gig the night before, and then you like every single one of those because people will follow you back if you do that. So it does work really, really well. There are obviously a lot of like hashtags and trends. Throwback Thursday, TBT is really big on Instagram. You can tap into those and use the appropriate hashtag whenever you want to. I try to stay away from it being really lame. Like if you're an Instagrammer, that's like your bread and butter. But if you're just an artist, it looks kind of lame when you're like, hashtag sky, hashtag blue, hashtag sunny day, hashtag best life ever. Like, it looks a bit needy. So maybe just stick to one or two if you need to. So videos obviously on Instagram, which is great and fine. I still feel like pictures work better than video in terms of like, I would do an 80-20 rule. So I'd put 80% pictures, 20% video, just because I still think it's very much a picture platform. But I'm just going to leave you with two last things which are really useful, and then we're going to take a break. One is the launch of Hyperlapse. It's just a simple app which takes video and then speeds it up. I know you can do that within the iOS, but you can't alter the speed, and it's better on Hyperlapse. The point is, you need to be creating more video content. You all think video content is expensive. It doesn't mean that it's expensive. When you're trying to create video content on the cheap, anything sped up looks cool. I don't know why, but it just does. Anything real life, pretty boring. Sped up, great. With a like, and then you add a filter, amazing, like literally anything. So if you're short for time, or if you don't have budget and you need a music video, go on a ride on a car through Sweden, videotape that stuff, make it fast, put a filter on it, done. Pretty much. But it just means for any announcement, you don't have an excuse that you don't have time to create content. Yes, you can. If you're going on tour, you get some guy to write it down on a piece of paper, speed it up, and somehow, because the pain is going really fast, it's really cool. I don't know, it works. So you do it on Hyperlapse, and then you push it out on Instagram, and then you put a filter on it, and then you share it, and that's pretty much your video done. And then there's Boomerang. Boomerang's slightly more glitchy, but I'm starting to see that it's growing. At first I thought it was going to fail, but I'm seeing this more and more. Yeah, so it's a little corny, but it does actually work. You just capture something and then you go back, forward, back, forward, back, forward. I mean, again, you just need 10 seconds of something. That's all you need to capture people's attention, and it will do a lot better than just that photo they've seen 100 times. The point is, stop sucking at content. Mainly, that's the big takeaway. You know, make sure that everything you do is in the right format, for the right platform, for the right audience. Take the thing you've been doing your whole life the same way, scratch it and say, if we were to do this again for every platform, how would we do it? What would be the best type of format for that specific platform with those specific people who like content in this way, right? You can't just take the famous A2 poster and stick it on all of the platforms and expect people to lap it up. You need to understand the dynamics of the crowd. You don't speak to people on Facebook the same way that you speak on Twitter. Facebook, yes, you can be casual. Twitter, you have to be casual. If you start speaking like really formal third language, it's just gonna die. No one speaks like that on Twitter. It's a really relaxed platform. Same thing with Instagram. If it's not a beautiful picture, stay off Instagram, put that on Facebook. I would way rather have a really stylized, beautiful picture or something that's cool like a backstage on Instagram, but I wouldn't just upload any random picture on Instagram. Everything needs to link to each other, so obviously they all talk. As I said, sometimes some content goes to the other one, sometimes all three get the same content, but it definitely needs to think about, okay, how do they interact and how do I move fans from one a platform where I have a lot of followers to the next one. it's all part of a larger marketing campaign. Again, it's so boring, but you just need a content plan. You need a calendar, and you need to know when stuff is going out when, because what will happen is for 2 weeks you don't have anything, and then you have 6 things in 1 week, and you're just bombarding people with stuff, right? So just make sure that you have planned this at least 4 weeks in advance or 2 weeks in advance so you know what's coming. And then just don't take it so seriously. Like, just have fun. Put a GIF in, put a picture of a cat, and everything will blow up. You'll be fine.